Hello. This is just going to be a demo of Satisfactory, the factory building game. It is early access. You build factories. There's a survival element as there's creatures who try to kill you. And there's an exploration element. The map is fairly large, and it's kind of fun to explore sometimes. This is sort of where I started out. You can pick different locations where you start out. There's only one map. There's a world. It's not computer generated. It is manually created. And when you start out, you don't have much. You have a drop pod, and you pick up some materials, and you build stuff. And then from there, you just build more and more. As you can see, a lot of building happened. I and my friend played this a lot over the Christmas break, and then I played even more after he stopped playing. You kind of start out here, and you're basically getting this hub up and running. And then once you get the hub up and running, they want you to send all this crazy stuff to this space elevator. You work for the Fix-It Corporation, and presumably you are there to line its pockets. You are called a pioneer, but you kind of wonder if you're really an employee, because and I'll just show you, I'm going to jump to the ground and take damage. Damage to Fix-It property detected. Fix-It property, huh? Doesn't sound like I'm an employee at all. It sounds like I'm a slave. The story mode for the game isn't out yet, so time will tell what that means. I have some barrel nuts I'm going to eat to restore my health. You can just pick them off branches as you come across them. So we kind of started out in the hub, and we built machines and conveyor belts connecting machines, and you start out by, say, mining. You can see here's a miner. Start out by mining iron ore, and then turn that into ingots, and then turn that into other things, and turn those into other things. And there's a couple different machines. If you bring up here production, you'll see there's constructors that just turn raw materials into a good. Assemblers turn two raw materials into a good. Manufacturers 4 raw materials in a good. Then there's blenders that take a fluid as well as solid products, and so on. And there's different speeds of conveyor belts and different types of miners that mine faster. Okay, so I'll just show you a couple buildings here in the hub, and then maybe we'll go on a little exploration of the map here. I've tried to clean things up here in the hub, but, there's just a lot of stuff running every which way. If I were to do it over, I could clean it up. As you notice, I have this big, tall stack of conveyor belts. I do try to keep things, to a smaller amount of conveyor belt lines rather than just running them every which way. I'm just going to show you my motor building. This is the biggest thing I built recently, and I thought it'd be nice to try to make a building. I have not completely walled it in because I got bored doing it, but I could certainly do so. And this building exists to do one thing, and that is make motors. And it does that by taking raw material in. And the raw material comes in via train. And the train drops it off into these little bins here. This is a freight platform. Currently, it is holding a ton of steel ingots. And then those steel ingots come on a belt here, and then they get used up somewhere in this factory. Now, I could switch to a hover pack because I got a lot of power. This hover pack needs power. It just steals the power from your power grid. And, so this works like a little elevator going straight up. At the top, this is where I make my motors from using the parts below. And, you get a nice view from up here. And then straight in front of me is my electronics assembly unit. and it makes computers and crystal oscillators and some remote control things, and yeah. So it's, it's kind of ugly, but there's a method to the madness. What I do here is I have this string of belts, and the belts kind of go like this and this and this, and then on the back side here of the sort of factory of machines, I just pull off the goods I need, and then I make goods and then send them to other machines to make more goods. These are the manufacturers. These take, up to 4 goods. So that's it. I mean, that's what this does. And so maybe we could explore the map a little bit here. We will go take a train ride. This below me, by the way, is hypertubes, which are very easy to build and don't take a ton of power. And they're very handy to get around until you get better technology. I will configure my train station so I can bring up the timetable. And what I'm looking for is this train called Big Loop. It's a ways off. I'm trying to figure out if I can expedite this. I think I'm just going to wait for this train, but let me talk about the game while I'm doing so. It'll be here in a few minutes. By the way, the train tracks are kind of these monorails, and what happens is each one of these little units is a separate bin. So this freight platform can be set to load or unload, and then it has input and output ports for conveyor belts. And if it's a fluid platform, it has input and output for pipes. When you start out, you can choose a number of different areas. I don't know if I explained that. You can choose from various areas. Apparently, some of them are more challenging than others. And then eventually, you could explore the whole map. And it's the same map no matter what difficulty level you start at. It's not computer generated. I don't know if I explained that either. It is built by hand, and they are tweaking it still as it's in early access. And I just waiting on the train and figuring out what else to explain that I haven't explained. You can see the space elevator there. You deliver goods to that for completing these phases. You'll notice in the upper right it says Objective Phase 5. That has not been implemented yet, but Phase 1 through 4 has. And there's a lot of gameplay to get to Phase 4. It requires rather a lot of stuff that takes a long time to build, and crazy stuff like particle accelerators, and it's interesting. I was trying to actually finish it up during Christmas break, and I was basically using calculators to see if I'd finish it up, because there were goods that were taking, I need 2,000 of them, and I was making like 1 a minute. Let's see where I'm at on the train coming in here. We'll go to timetable and see. Oh yeah, it's a ways. There's no really way to speed that train up, so maybe I'll just take a different train. You won't get to see the whole map, I guess. I named the train stations after physicists and mathematicians. I don't even know where this train goes, so we'll find out. The other thing I can do, it's nice to ride the train, but I can get off on a hypertube and explore the map that way. That's pretty reasonable, I think. I will maybe do that. Let's see here. That green stuff is poisonous. It's not so good. It's very unhealthy. Yes, let's just take the hypertube. It would have been nice to have a train ride, but, you know, you'll see the same sorts of stuff. Train's actually a little faster than the hypertube. You can actually adjust your speed in the hypertube in reverse direction. That's kind of what happened there. This was kind of a fun jungle to fight our way through. Creatures trying to kill us everywhere. We were trying to find the petroleum, and it did take us a lot of work to find the petroleum and then utilize it finally. When you start, by the way, you have to sort of manually harvest leaves and stuff for your biomass fuel. And then what you need to do as soon as you can, you need to discover coal. You really want to do that, and then you can start automating your power, which is going to save you a ton of time of harvesting leaves. I believe the leaves do grow back, but you are going to spend a lot of time. When we first found this, I couldn't quite figure out what to do with this mess. It's just all this different levels of fungi, and we ended up building a bunch of like metal ramps. So you can kind of see, I'm going to run out of my hover pack here. Because it is based on electricity, it works around this rail though, because the monorail apparently acts as if it's permanently full of electricity. You can see we're getting towards the eastern edge of the map here. There's a bit more to it. We could see if a train's coming through here anytime soon. I think my trains would run a little faster if my signaling was better. You have to use signaling to sort of control a train so they don't crash into each other. It works very much like real-world signaling. If you've played like Transport Fever, it's similar. You gotta relearn some stuff, but okay, yeah, no, that's a ways out here. But it is due at the stop next, so maybe we can ride a train. Oh yeah, here it is. Perfect. I was wrong. I thought this was a different station. I don't think this one is named after a physicist or mathematician like my others. Or maybe it is. I'd have to think about that again. Tallinn sounds more like a city in Estonia. Capital of Estonia, Tallinn. And you can see the space elevator off in the distance. You can see my track needs some work. This track actually is not that hard to lay when it's flat on the ground, but to try to make it look nice is a lot of work. As you see, I got some stuff that wouldn't be on a real track, like trees in the way. Can come through here with the chainsaw in the game and take out a lot of that stuff. Needs some work for aesthetic reasons. Plus my platforms are all just mismatch of different ideas on how to build platforms. It'd be nice if it wasn't quite so foggy looking here. It'd be nice a little less. I don't know if it's because we're getting towards night or just because we're in the jungle here. I think it is getting later in the day. It gets that kind of a foggy look about it. You see that track is kind of underground there. Like I say, you know, you can fix all that, but it does take work. This is what I call the Rainbow Bridge. My friend Tom built this. He said, I'm just going to build a bridge. It's like he must have taken who knows, a half hour to an hour just to lay plate after plate after plate. There's no quick way to do it. And he built that, and it's very handy. And we're back to the hub. I think that, that's enough to kind of get an idea of the game and a little bit of the terrain, and I hope people found this interesting. Thanks for watching.